Hello, welcome to the course PH5 BO6 Electrodynamics 2. The contents of today's lecture is taken from Electricity and Magnetism by R. Murugesan. We'll continue to discuss topics from chapter 12, Transient Currents. In the last class, we have studied the growth and decay of charges in a CR circuit. Today, we will analyze the growth and decay of charges in an LCR circuit. Actually, before studying LCR circuit, we should have studied the electrical behavior of an LC circuit. Unfortunately, that's not a part of our syllabus, but if you are interested, you can read the textbook and understand the theory of LC circuit. So if you do that, you will realize that LC circuit is an harmonic oscillator. So the behavior of charge is similar to an oscillator. So it will oscillate about the point Q0. On the other hand, when you add a resistance R, an external resistance R to an LC circuit, it becomes LCR, where it acts like a damped harmonic oscillator. I hope you know the difference between a harmonic oscillator and a damped harmonic oscillator. In the case of harmonic oscillator, the amplitude of oscillation is constant and oscillation exists till infinity. On the other hand, in the case of damped harmonic oscillator, the amplitude of oscillation decreases as a function of time. So because of that, after some point, the oscillation ceases to exist. So if you take the example of a simple pendulum, this is a damped harmonic oscillator. What's the reason? When the oscillator oscillates, there is a resistive force acting against the oscillation. The resistance comes from the air resistance or the friction, etc. So all these are dissipative forces. Because of this resistive or dissipative force, the system loses a part of its energy. So when system loses energy, the amplitude of the oscillation decreases. Finally, it comes to rest position. So just like an air resistance acting as a damping factor in the case of simple pendulum, electrical resistance R can act as a damping factor in the case of an LCR circuit. So once again, an ideal LC circuit is a harmonic oscillator and an LCR circuit is a damped harmonic oscillator. I want to bring your attention to one fact here. When I said LC, I said an ideal LC. Why do I say that? If you want to construct an LC circuit, practically, what do? You take an inductor, take a capacitor and connect both of them using a wire. An inductor is a coil, maybe like coil of copper wire, and copper has a finite resistance, right? However small it is, it has a finite resistance. Similarly, if you take a parallel plate capacitor, the conducting plates will have a finite resistance, and you are connecting these two using a wire has its own resistance. So even though your intention is to create an LC circuit, there is an inherent resistance there, and this resistance can act as a dissipative factor. So in reality, what you have constructed is an LCR circuit. So for an ideal LC circuit, the internal resistance needs to be 0, which is almost impossible. Maybe you can achieve close to that in the realm of superconductivity. So at very low temperatures, the resistance become almost 0. There you can make an approximate ideal LC circuit. Otherwise, for all practical purpose, whether you are including an external resistance or not, your system is going to behave like a LCR circuit or a damped harmonic oscillator. So that's the prelude to an LCR circuit. Coming into the detailed analysis of the growth and decay of charges, let's consider an LCR circuit with inductance L, capacitance C and resistance R connected in series to a cell of constant voltage E. So using a key, you can control the current flow through the circuit. As we have discussed in the previous class, since a capacitor is involved, you are not going to get a continuous current flow. you will have a momentary current while the capacitor is charging and discharging. Let's say Q is the charge stored in the capacitor at a given time t, and I is the momentary current in the circuit. First, let's analyze the growth of charge. What's the first step? As always, you need to write down the EMF equation. We are already familiar with the EMF equation of LR and CR circuits. Just combine both of them. You can write E equal to L into di by dt. This is the back EMF associated with inductor. Ri, this is the potential drop across resistor, and Q by C, this is the potential drop across the capacitor. This is already a time dependent equation, but we have two terms with respect to current, one term with respect to charge. So let's make it more consistent. Write everything in terms of charge Q. We know current I equal to dq by dt. So you can write di by dt is d square q by dt square. So substitute these two in this equation. The EMF equation becomes E equal to L into d square q by dt square plus R dq by dt plus q by c. Divide the equation with L, you get E by L equal to d square q by dt square plus R by L into dq by dt plus q by L by c. Or take E by L to the right hand side, and you can write d square q by dt square plus R by L into dq by dt plus q minus ce by lc equal to 0. Let's make some substitutions here. Call R by L as 2B and 1 by LC as omega naught square. If you remember the derivation of damped harmonic oscillator in your classical mechanics course, you will remember that omega naught is the natural frequency of a harmonic oscillator, or this is the frequency of undamped oscillation. Similarly, this factor 2B or B, this is related to resistance, right? And I said resistance is the one which induces the damping effect. So you can call this factor B as the damping factor. So B is related to damped oscillation. Omega naught is related to undamped oscillation. Once you make these two substitutions, I can rewrite this equation as d square q by dt square plus 2b dq by dt plus omega naught square q minus ce equal to 0. So this is the EMF equation for an LCR circuit. But if you compare this with the standard damped harmonic oscillator equation, this looks slightly different. So let's try to get it to the standard form. For that, let's make one more substitution called q minus ce as x. Now what is dx by dt? In this equation, c and e both are constant. So dx by dt is nothing but dq by dt. Similarly, d square x by dt square equal to d square q by dt square. So rewrite this equation in terms of x dx by dt and d square x by dt square. The equation now becomes d square x by dt square plus 2b dx by dt plus omega naught square x equal to 0. This is exactly similar to the damped harmonic oscillator equation we have seen in classical mechanics. Now we need to solve this equation. This is a second order differential equation, and I hope you remember how to solve a second order differential equation. This is very important because you will find second order differential equations everywhere in physics, whether it is classical mechanics, electrodynamics, optics, spectroscopy, everywhere you find this equation. Even in quantum mechanics, if you look at the Schrodinger equation, that is a second order differential equation. So let's quickly see the procedure for solving a second order differential equation. If you take a general equation, okay, for now let's forget about our LCR equation. Take a general equation, a d square x by dt square plus b dx by dt plus cx equal to 0. So this is the equation we want to solve. First step is to write the auxiliary equation. What do you do? Instead of d square x by dt square, write m square. So dx by dt, write m. And the coefficients remains the same. So you have am square plus bm plus c equal to 0. This is the auxiliary equation. This is a quadratic equation. Now you need to find the roots of the quadratic equation. For what values of m, this equation becomes 0. We know the standard form of the root, m equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now I can have three conditions. One, b square minus 4ac greater than 0, b square minus 4ac equal to 0, and b square minus 4ac less than 0. Unfortunately, there is a typo here. I included a square root term here. That's wrong. This is without square root. Okay. So let's look at the three conditions one by one. First case, b square minus 4ac greater than 0. So this is a real term. If you look at the square root, this is a real term. So you have two roots. One is minus b plus the square root term divided by 2a, call that as m1, then minus b minus square root divided by 2a, that is m2. So you have two real and distinct roots, and the general solution is going to be x equal to a into e to the power m1t plus b into e to the power m2t. Second case, b square minus 4ac equal to 0. So in that case, you will find m1 equal to m2 equal to m, and the general solution is e to the power mt a plus b into x. Third case, b square minus 4ac less than 0. Okay. So when you take square root of a negative parameter, you are going to get an imaginary number, right? So you have minus b divided by 2a plus or minus the imaginary number divided by 2a. So you can rewrite your roots as m1 equal to alpha plus I omega. What is alpha? Minus b by 2a. And what is I omega? This imaginary number divided by 2a. Similarly, the second root becomes alpha minus I omega. In the case, the general solution is going to be x equal to e to the power alpha t a cos omega t plus b sin omega. So these are the three solutions available. If you look at the nature of the solution, this is an exponential solution. This is also an exponential solution. And this is going to be an oscillatory solution, and the amplitude of the oscillation is determined by this exponential factor. So even though we write three solutions, actually the first one is the most general solution, and the other two you can derive as specific cases. So that's what we are going to do in our derivation. We will first write this general solution, and other two we are going to discuss as special conditions. Now coming back to our original LCR equation. We have d square x by dt square plus 2b dx by dt plus omega naught square x equal to 0. Write down the corresponding auxiliary equation. So first you have m square plus 2b into m plus omega naught square equal to 0. Find the roots. M equal to minus 2b plus or minus square root of 2b square, that is 4b square minus 4 omega naught square divided by 2. And this is going to be minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus omega naught square. So your m1 is minus b plus the square root, m2 is minus b minus the square root. So if you go to the previous table, I said this is the most general solution. So we are going to write this a into e to the power m1t plus b into e to the power m2. So if you do that, you will get x of t equal to a e to the power m1 minus b plus square root of b square minus omega naught square t plus b into m2 b minus b minus square root of b square minus omega naught square t. If you remember our previous class, in the case of an RC circuit, I said when the capacitor gets fully charged to Q naught, the entire source voltage is going to drop across the capacitor. So at the point Q equal to Q naught, you can write CE equal to Q naught. We have seen this equation in the last class. So if you remember the definition of X, this is Q minus EE. Instead of CE, I can put Q naught here. So X equal to Q minus Q naught. So in this equation, on the left hand side, you can write Q minus Q naught. Or Q equal to Q naught plus A e to the power minus B plus square root of B square minus omega naught square T plus B into e to the power minus B minus square root of B square minus omega naught square into T. We have two unknowns here, A and B. We need to find their values. What do we do? Since we have a time dependent equation, we can use the initial condition. We have two unknowns, so we need two initial conditions. So what's the first condition? We know that at time t equal to 0, the capacitor is empty. So Q equal to 0. So substitute this condition in this equation. So Q equal to 0. So left hand side is 0. Q naught plus A e to the power t equal to 0. E to the power 0 equal to 1. So you have A plus B into e to the power 0, which is B. So Q naught plus A plus B equal to 0, or you can write A plus B equal to minus Q naught. What is the second initial condition? At time t equal to 0, Q is equal to 0. So consequently, dQ by dt is also going to be 0. So let's first find out what is dQ by dt. So look at this equation. This is our Q. So take derivative of the right hand side. Derivative of Q naught is going to be 0. Derivative of exponential is going to be the same function. And you need to apply the chain rule. Derivative of minus b plus square root into t. So all these terms inside the bracket are constant, and derivative of t is going to be 1. So basically you apply the chain rule. Don't bother, the equations are going to get really bulky, but it's pretty simple and straightforward. So the dQ by dt is going to be A into minus b plus square root of b square minus omega naught square into the exponential term plus b into minus b minus square root of b square minus omega naught square into exponential term. Now apply the initial condition. At t equal to 0, dQ by dt equal to 0. So left hand side becomes 0. You have A minus b plus square root of b square minus omega naught square e to the power 0 equal to 1 plus b into this term into e to the power 0 once again 1. Now what do we have here? On the left hand side I have minus b into A and minus b into B. Take both of them to the other side. B is common there. So you have b into A plus B. What is remaining on the other side? You have square root of b square minus omega naught square constant. So that multiplied by A minus B. But A plus B we have already shown as minus Q naught. So substitute for that here. So B into A plus B becomes minus B into Q naught. Or you can write A minus B equal to minus B Q naught divided by square root of B square minus omega naught square. So now we have two equations. One is for A plus B, one is for A minus B. Two equations, two unknown. You solve this, you get the values of A and B. What do you do? First you add these two together. So the B term gets cancelled. So you get A as minus half Q naught. This Q naught is common here. Take it outside. Minus half Q naught. 1 plus B divided by square root of B square minus omega naught square. Now what you do? You subtract these two equations. So A plus B minus A minus B. So A term gets cancelled. You can find the value of B as minus half Q naught 1 minus B divided by square root of B square minus omega naught square. Now in the equations for Q, substitute for A and B. Guys, this is going to be really bulky. Once again, don't worry about it. So Q is going to be Q naught minus half Q naught e to the power minus bt into 1 plus b by square root of b square minus omega naught square e to the power square root of b square minus omega naught square into t plus 1 minus b divided by square root of b square minus omega naught square into e to the power minus b square minus omega naught square into t. Oh my god, this is almost sounding like a tongue twister. Okay, be with me. Okay, don't leave halfway through. Now, as we have seen in the table, we can have three conditions. One, the square root becomes real, square root becomes 0, and square root becomes imaginary. Okay. So let's list out these three conditions. First case, b square greater than omega naught square. So first case. Now what's the meaning of it? B is the damping factor and omega naught is the frequency of the undamped oscillation. So what it physically means is the damping condition is more than the undamped condition. So this is known as overdamped condition or deadbeat. Now what happens here? How does the charge vary in this condition? We need to find out the endpoints first. So what is the first point? T equal to 0. So when you substitute in this equation t equal to 0, you have e to the power 0 being 1, so minus half q naught. Here you have e to the power 0 1, here also e to the power 0 1. This plus b by square root of b square minus omega naught square and minus this term. These two cancel, so you have 2 here, 2 and minus half, you get minus 1. So q naught minus q naught, you have 0. So you start at 0 point, and what is your other endpoint? T equal to infinity. So here you can do it simply here. Don't bother about this. E to the power minus infinity is 0. You are going to multiply this entire term with 0. So this full term becomes 0. So q equal to q naught. And what is the nature of this function? This is an exponentially increasing function. So from q equal to 0, it exponentially increases to q equal to q naught. So this is an exponential function. Take the second case, b square equal to omega naught square. This is known as critically damped condition. Once again, if you apply the limits and look at the behavior of the function, you will find that the charge is exponentially growing from q equal to 0 to q equal to q naught, just that the rate of growth is much faster than the overdamped condition. Okay, so this is clear from this diagram. Now the third case, probably the most important case from a practical point of view. B square less than omega naught square. So here the square root is going to give an imaginary number. So let's find out the value of the square root. B square minus omega naught square, which I can write as square root of minus omega naught square minus b square. And square root of minus 1, as we all know, this is the imaginary number I, and square root of omega naught square minus b square, let me call this as omega. Physically, omega is the frequency of the damped oscillator. So once you substitute these two, you can write square root of b square minus omega naught square equal to I omega. So let's rewrite this equation in terms of omega now. So this term becomes now I omega. So q equal to q naught minus half q naught e to the power minus bt plus 1 plus b divided by I omega e to the power I omega t plus 1 minus b divided by I omega e to the power minus I omega t. Let's make some rearrangements. If you look here, I have e to the power I omega t plus e to the power minus I omega t. So let's bring those two together. Similarly, in the other equation also you have e to the power I omega t minus e to the power minus I omega t. And the half factor here I am going to take inside the bracket. Now the equation becomes q equal to q naught minus q naught into e to the power minus bt e to the power I omega t plus e to the power minus I omega t divided by 2 plus I'm going to take b by omega as the common factor from the other two terms. So you have e to the power I omega t minus e to the power minus I omega t divided by 2i. In the case of electromagnetic waves, we have seen that sine and cosine can be combined in the form of an exponential equation as e to the power I omega t equal to cos omega t plus I sine omega t. Similarly, e to the power minus I omega t is cos omega t plus I sine omega t. Now, what is now e to the power I omega t plus e to the power minus I omega t? This is 2 cos omega t divided by 2. So you get a cos omega t here. Similarly, e to the power I omega t minus e to the power minus I omega t. So cos term gets cancelled. You have 2i sine omega t. Divide that with 2i, you get sine omega t here. Let's make some more rearrangements. So let's take q naught outside. This is a common term, and from this bracket I am going to take 1 by omega as the common term outside. The equation now becomes q equal to q naught into 1 minus e to the power minus bt by omega into omega cos omega t plus b sine omega t. Let's try to bring a nice form to this equation. For that, make some substitutions here. Call omega as omega naught sine alpha and b as omega naught cos alpha. Okay. So alpha is some phase factor, don't bother about that. And alpha is nothing but tan inverse omega by b. So if you take omega by b, omega naught cancel. This is tan alpha, or alpha is equal to tan inverse omega by b. Now rewrite this equation in terms of omega naught and alpha. So what do we have here? Q equal to q naught into 1 minus e to the power minus bt by omega into, instead of omega I have omega naught sine alpha into cos omega t plus, instead of b I have omega naught cos alpha into sine omega t. Sine a cos b plus cos a sine b. This is sine a plus b, right? So we can write q equal to q naught into 1 minus omega naught e to the power minus bt divided by omega sine omega t plus alpha. Pictorially, what does this mean? So initially this function is going to increase exponentially, just like the other two cases. So you have an exponential increase to q naught. Once it reaches q naught, the sinusoidal function becomes dominant. So you have an oscillatory behavior here. But the amplitude of the oscillation is not constant. We know that because this is a damped harmonic oscillator. The amplitude is determined by the factor e to the power minus bt. You see, this is an exponentially decreasing function, right? As time increases, this term is going to decrease. So because of that, the amplitude of the oscillation is going to decrease. So finally, the oscillation completely ends and the charge settles at the point q naught. So in the case of overdamped condition and critically damped condition, you do not have oscillation. This is just an exponential behavior like a CR circuit. Only in the case of underdamped condition, you have some sort of an oscillatory behavior. And also, if you look at this equation closely, how fast the oscillation is going to die down. This is determined by this exponential factor, where B is the damping factor. So if the damping is more in the system, the oscillation exists only for a very short time. If the damping is less, then you have oscillation for sufficiently more time. So that's the physical meaning of this equation. Now, even though we have a nice equation here, if you look at our original circuit, in the circuit, the only known parameters are resistance R, inductance L, and capacitance C. But this equation, we have some other constants B, alpha, omega, etc. So what we do, we are going to rewrite this equation in terms of the known parameters R, L and C. So remember our substitution, we have initially substituted R by L equal to 2B. From there, the damping factor B can be written as R by 2L. Also, the natural frequency or frequency of undamped equation omega naught square equal to 1 by LC or omega naught equal to 1 by square root of LC. Omega is square root of omega naught square minus B square. Substitute for omega naught and B, you get this is square root of 1 by LC minus R square divided by 4L square. So this equation we can rewrite as Q equal to Q naught into 1 minus 1 by square root of LC e to the power minus R by 2L into T divided by square root of 1 by LC minus R square by 4L square into sine square root of 1 by LC minus R square divided by 4L square T plus alpha. If you want, you can substitute for alpha as tan inverse omega by B, then write down the expressions for omega and B. It's going to be even more cumbersome, so you can just leave alpha as it is. Okay. So as I said, omega is the frequency of the damped harmonic oscillator and omega naught is the frequency of the undamped oscillator. But omega is the angular frequency. So if you want to talk in terms of linear frequency is nothing but angular frequency divided by 2 pi. So frequency of damped oscillation nu equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 1 by LC minus R square by 4L square, and the frequency of undamped oscillation nu naught equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 1 by LC. If you compare these two equations, you can clearly see the role of resistor. In the damped oscillator, when the resistance R equal to 0, it gets converted into an undamped oscillator. That's why I said the damping in an LCR circuit comes from the external resistance R. Okay. So when R equal to 0, nu equal to nu naught. Now, what is the condition for the oscillatory discharge? We have said how fast the oscillation dies down is determined by this damping factor. So if you want your LCR circuit to work like an oscillator, you need to reduce this damping factor. So this damping factor R square minus 4L square should be less than the undamping factor 1 by LC. So this is the condition for oscillatory discharge, or you can write R is less than 2 into square root of L by C. So this is the condition for a sustained oscillation in an LCR circuit. What's the importance of an LCR circuit? This is very important, especially in wireless technology. There are many other applications, but specifically I want to mention about wireless technology. Now, if you look at any communication system, or for example, take the case of internet at your home. There are two ways you can get internet connection. One through a wired connection using an optical fiber, or like the Jio Wi-Fi modem you use, you can have a Wi-Fi connection. So here fiber optic connection is a wired connection and your Wi-Fi connection is a wireless connection. So in the case of wireless connection, the signals are transmitted and received in terms of electromagnetic radiation, right? So in the transmission side as well as the reception side, you can use an LCR circuit. So let's see how we can generate electromagnetic waves of a particular frequency using an LCR circuit. Okay. So you have an LCR circuit. Here I am not explicitly put an external resistance because the internal resistance of the inductor, capacitor and the wire can act as the resistance R. Okay. So here what happens, instead of a DC supply, you connect it to an AC supply. Okay. So during the positive half cycle, the capacitor gets charged. During the negative half cycle, the capacitor gets discharged. That's what happens in an AC supply. Now when the capacitor gets charged, all the charges are now inside the capacitor. So because of this charge accumulation, there is an electric field inside the capacitor. So you can say the energy now stored in the electric field of the capacitor. During the negative half cycle, capacitor discharges, so there is a current in the circuit. When the current flows through the inductor, so this is a coil, right? So when current flows through this coil, the magnitude of the current is changing, so you have a magnetic field developed inside the coil. So you can say the energy previously stored in the electric field of the capacitor now gets converted into energy stored in the magnetic field of the inductor. One thing you have to make sure is the internal resistance of the inductor should be small. Otherwise, what happens, just like the case of the iron box in your home, when current flows through high resistance, there is heat developed, so a part of the energy will be lost in the form of heat. We don't want that to happen, so make sure that the resistance of the inductor is really small, so that the entire energy from the electric field is transferred to the magnetic field. So positive cycle, negative cycle gets over, the next cycle comes. During the next positive cycle, the capacitor gets charged. So once again, the energy stored in the magnetic field of the inductor gets converted into the energy stored in the electric field of the capacitor. Once again, the capacitor gets discharged, so energy goes back to the magnetic field. So the energy keeps shuttling between electric field and magnetic field, and when this happens very quickly, if you look at the AC connection, the connection is at 50 Hertz. In 1 second, 50 times the cycles are going to get changed. So you have a very fast interchange of electric field and magnetic field. So when these two fields alternate rapidly, a part of the energy permanently escapes the system in the form of electromagnetic waves. And what is the frequency of the electromagnetic wave? This is determined by the inductance and capacitance. We have seen the linear frequency equal to 1 by 2 pi square root of 1 by LC. So you can generate an electromagnetic radiation of a specific frequency using an LCR circuit with negligible internal resistance. In the next chapter, we will see what is the application of LCR circuit in a receiver circuit. So you will find that in the radio, for tuning stations, in various stations, you can use an LCR circuit. So that's about growth of charges in an LCR circuit. This is a very lengthy derivation, but if you follow it step by step, it's very simple and straightforward. So the decay of charges you can do as an assignment, right? You know the drill. You write down the EMF equation, and on the left hand side, equate E equal to 0, make all the substitution, write down all the standard equation, discuss the different condition. The conditions are going to be exactly the same. You have overdamped and critically damped condition where there is an exponential decay. Then you have an underdamped condition where there is an oscillatory discharge of charges. Okay, so you can do that an assignment. That's about today's class. In the next class, we will discuss about the working principle of a very important instrument, which is the moving coil galvanometer. Thank you.